What's going on, YouTube? Metal Complex here, and welcome to episode 10 of my Sunday series, The Knife Guy. If you don't know where you are, or you just came out of some weird corner of the internet, you don't know who I am a knife collector, knife enthusiast, knife enjoyer of all types. I am a knife guy in my own social setting, and I'm blessed to have a lot of friends in my, locally who I can talk with about knives, but I know a lot of my viewers don't have that. They basically, their social circle in terms of knives exists online only. And so this series is basically a way for all of us knife guys to share similar circumstances, things that we kind of stumble into as we progress and learn about this this knife world. There's a lot of similarities, a lot of things that happen basically to all of us over time. Excuse me, putting my phone on airplane mode. But if I don't knock my camera over. Whole bunch of knives on the table today. What I like to do in these episodes is essentially just talk about things and pick knives up and play with them a little bit and basically give you something to sit back and enjoy watching. So today, given that yesterday's upload, you guys probably know this, but I record a lot of my videos at the same time. So in my time, today's episodes, yesterday's episodes, they haven't been uploaded yet. But I'm going to guess that yesterday's upload about the definition of mid-tech knives and custom knives probably upset a few people, or at least, kind of stirred the pot, as those kind of things always do. And that's fine, whatever. The comments section is there for people who want to give their thoughts. But it got me thinking, because honestly, sometimes I don't come up with the idea for the topic of the knife guy until like the day before it's supposed to go up. In this case, a couple of days before. But I was thinking, because I use the Manix 2 as an example of a production knife that I customized. And it was something I was excited about because the Flytanium cages came out, and I was having that issue with the copper scales where they were just a little bit too heavy for my liking. And I wanted to tweak the Manix 2 to get it exactly the way that I like. And I thought, what a great topic. An awesome topic that a lot of us, have encountered as knife guys, is essentially getting to the point where your taste is refined and, not even like, you don't have to get up to the point where you're handling stuff like this ADV Custom Tanto here. You've just figured out that, there are certain tools, certain knives that work better for you than other knives. And it doesn't really matter what they cost or what caliber they're in, but they work better for you than other stuff. But maybe there's just a couple of things that bother you, Maybe there's just little teeny tiny things that are just weird. And you're like, God, if I could just change that a little bit, it would be so much better. And that's what I've run into multiple times with lots of different knives. In fact, the knives that I've spent more time customizing than any other knife would be, you guys know I love Rick Hinder knives, and Rick Hinder's thing, he's kind of, marketed this idea, the whole make it your own idea, has made his knives very popular, but they're very, very expensive. Now, I've bought and sold and traded my way through 21 Hinderer knives, and I've customized probably a third of them. And I really, really enjoy that, but that gets really expensive. And those are great tools, and I love them, and some of the ones I've customized I've used, and some of them I haven't. But knives that I really, really enjoy customizing and using are knives that are less expensive to own and to customize, like the Spyderco Manix 2 and this Spyderco PM2. This PM2 is not the M4 Blade HQ exclusive. It's just got custom, if my camera will focus, can we focus? Yeah, it's got customized sort of diamond pattern G10 scales. It also has a Flytanium backspacer and an MXG deep carry clip. My Manix 2 has the Allen Putman, I don't know how to pronounce it, the textured sort of rock pattern textured G10 scales. It's got the Flytanium cage, and it's got a black MXG deep carry clip to match the blade and the hardware. I love that. Basically my investment in that knife, minus what I paid for the copper scales, but what's sitting on that right there makes it, I put about 100 and, what is this, 40 plus 70, so 110 plus, what does the clip cost, 20 bucks, so 130 bucks. It's actually what I paid for the knife. I haven't done that. I just now said that out loud to myself, and I was like, oh my gosh, I paid just as much in custom parts as I have for the knife. Some people are going to roll their eyes at that and be like, wow, you are not a smart person. And that's fine. But there's a lot of joy in like finding out. I spent a lot of time figuring out that the Manix was a knife that I love. And for a long time, where is it? I put it away. The Shaman actually kicked the Manix out of my pocket. The Shaman, and a long time ago, the PM2 got kicked out of my pocket. And it was because I didn't like the blocky scales. I didn't like how long the handle was. I didn't like the position of the pocket clip, the overall awkwardness of the PM2. And I was like, that's sad because the PM2 is such a good knife. And then, I spiced it up with those jade scales. I put a clip on it that made more sense to me. And I found some G10 scales that had a texturing that wasn't quite as rough as the peel ply, and they were slightly contoured. And now I enjoy it, And I wanted to do the same thing for the Manix. And, I thought that the Flytanium scales would do that for me, but it just made the knife really heavy. So then I thought, well, maybe I just need to get some titanium Flytanium scales. Those would be lighter. Well, they were sold out. And honestly, I probably could have found some, but I got to thinking about it, and I thought, this is a full liner version of the Manix 2. It's so butt heavy already. Adding titanium scales is not going to fix the balance issue that is severely offset by the copper scales I've got on it right now. I'm going to have to go back to G10. So thinking back to, if you guys, those of you who have been with me for a very long time will remember my video on Ricky's 52-100, whoever's exclusive Manix 2 that had gray G10 scales and was a black 52-100 blade. I loved how that knife looked, and I said that in the video. So I thought, I'm going to recreate that knife, but now that, Flytanium has this titanium cage, I can make the Manix 2 exactly what I want. So I got the clip that I wanted. I got these scales that have some texturing, but they're not quite as rough as the peel ply, so it goes in and out of my pockets without fraying them up. It still has a cool, subdued, kind of tactical look, but I get that titanium cage, and it's emphasized by not being the same color. So that might drive some people crazy. Some of you might be thinking, that should be black, or, I don't think they make a black one, but some people might think it should be bronze, and I should do that with hardware bronze, whatever. What I'm saying is that I got to take the time to discover that the Manix 2 was a knife that I not only loved, but that was nearly perfect for me. And then because there was such a massive market of parts, for people who thought like me, which a lot of people consider the Manix 2 to be one of the best knives out there, there's this massive market for aftermarket parts, and we can buy the stuff to make our knives what we want. And in this case, this knife, I've put a total of $260. Is that right? $135 for the knife plus another $135 for the parts. Yeah, I put $200. This is a really expensive Manix 2, and I don't need to. And you guys don't need to spend that much money on a Manix to make it good. Manix 2 is good by itself, but the fun of it is making it exactly right for you. That Manix 2 is perfect now, and I can't tell you how much fun I've been having with that thing. It's like the cage is like making it break in all over again. So it's kind of wearing down, but I no longer have the click that I had with the old plastic cage, which is really satisfying. And now I have this knife it's not perfectly balanced, but it's way more balanced, and it's more pocket friendly, and the clip carries way deeper in my pocket, so I can justify it at work because nobody really notices the clip. There's nothing sticking out of my pants, but it's still a full-size knife. It's a knife that basically serves me in every situation that I could possibly need it for, and then it also makes me feel prepared for less likely situations, like I don't know, if I was attacked by a grizzly bear in my office. Not likely, but we as knife guys think like that. I think Super Steel Steve put this thought in my head, or it was like a thought that I had like deep down, but he put it into words. He says it, I'm gonna mess it up, but he says it's not EDC, but it's like a feeling of maximum preparedness. It's how prepared you feel when you have that knife in your pocket. The AD-15 is a knife that's massively overkill, but, it gives people that maximum sense of preparedness. And maybe that's a knife that a lot of people would feel complete carrying. But the topic of today's discussion, if you guys haven't, gathered in the last 10 minutes, is the joy of being able to make knives exactly the way, or a lot of knives, not all knives, but the joy of customizing a knife. It doesn't make it a custom knife. I talked about that yesterday, because it's not a handmade knife, but it's a knife that you love, a knife that's made well, designed well, has good materials, and you have found some materials that fit all of the requirements as far as dimensions go, and you have attached these said materials to the knife and made it perfect for you. There's so much joy in that, and it can be expensive. Like I said, in the case of Hinderer knives, it can be very expensive to buy $100 worth of bronze titanium. Now, this is one of those vintage series knives, so it came with all this stuff. But if this was a base XM18 at $425, and you wanted all bronze hardware, you're looking at about $100 worth of hardware. And then if you want that titanium scale on there, like this, you're looking at another $225, $250. I don't know how much that scale costs. So that's crazy expensive. But sometimes it can be really fun to do that, Now, here's my idea of knives that I would and would not customize. A knife that I would never try to customize would be like this Marfione Warhound. This is a knife that it's kind of like I'll use a car analogy again. Let's say we're looking at a $250,000. Let's say we're looking at a $500,000 Lamborghini that has been finely tuned. The engine, the transmission, the suspension, everything has been tuned to make that car perform the best it can for what it's been given. It's also the body, has been designed, for the best aerodynamics that you could achieve while still keeping everything stylish. And then there's the color, which oftentimes is one of the only features that the customer buying the car can have. You might have different wheels, a few different trim levels, but what always bothers me is when I see pictures of a car like that and somebody who's put 24-inch rims on it. Why? That's stupid. Why would you do? You're ruining the performance of the car. I mean, a lot of people do that just to kind of give society the middle finger, like, look how much money I have, I'm doing it. But in my opinion, a car like that's built for performance, the style is already there. Lamborghini or whoever, they leave that part to them, and you just buy it and drive it. It looks good like that. And so that's, to me, this is a Ferrari or a Lamborghini. Tony Marfione, I think, has done a great job in terms of both the function and the style. I don't want to ruin this knife by putting my own stupid thoughts into the color of the pivot or the screws or whatever. I feel like he knows more than me, and I want to leave that knife, in its original form, its original beautiful form. Now, when I'm looking at a knife like the Spyderco Manix 2, to me, the Spyderco Manix 2 is like a 1994 4x4 Chevy Silverado. It's not a prestigious vehicle, but it's a very capable vehicle, and it's a very dependable vehicle. The old 5.7 liter V8 that rocked 240 horsepower. Not a lot of power, not a very performance oriented vehicle, but gosh dang it. Look around, go outside and drive for 2 minutes in any direction. Guarantee you find a late 80s, early 90s Chevy pickup with a 350 motor somewhere with 250,000 miles on it, still going. That's a workhorse vehicle. Now, what's fun about vehicles like that is that they're not performance oriented. Basically, they've got four-wheel drive and they can tow a little bit, right? So if you want to put a little bit of a lift kit on there, you want to, maybe add some exhaust, you want to add a little bit of your own flair, you can do that without ruining the original idea or the original utility of the vehicle. And to me, that's what this is. You could use the same, an old Toyota Tacoma or, whatever. It's a workhorse vehicle, but it's kind of, when I see an old pickup driving down the street that's obviously been taken care of. It's got a little bit nicer wheels on it, not big 24-inch wheels. A 16-inch wheel, and maybe there's some heavier tread on the tires, something you actually get utility out of, right? Not if it's raised 2 feet up in the air, it's kind of ruining things, but you put an inch and a half lift on it. Add a little bit, of heavier tread on the tires, put some cool 16-inch wheels, and maybe you add some exhaust. Some of those things are personal flair, but you're not taking away from the potential performance of the vehicle. That's how I look at the Manix. You guys just got a big, long, me preaching about what I do and don't like about how people customize their stuff. But that's how I view this, It's fun, and I feel like it's okay to do that because it's not like the Manix 2 needed it. It's not like an old 94 Chevy pickup needs you to customize it, but is it is it fun to do, you know, when you can do it without taking away from its original purpose? Then, you know, yeah, it is. It's fun. And maybe, like in the case of the PM2, I actually was unable to love it until I made it the way that I wanted. You know, adding this clip on there, adding the backspacer, adding these scales. Oh, I love this knife now. It actually sees pocket time. Before, you look way back on my video, the PM2 was just a knife that served as a size comparison. That's all it was. It was like, here's the knife up against the PM2, and then that was it, you know? At this point, I'm just flipping stuff out to flip it out because I haven't picked up all the knives on the table. Not necessarily making a point about the knife, but that's kind of how I feel about that. Now, don't let that discourage you. If you are somebody who owns a tack butcher, or you own a Wayfarer Classic, you know, and you have the opportunity to have it customized, then, and that's going to bring you joy, then you should do it. You know, don't let me stop you with my own personal definitions of what's acceptable and not acceptable. You know, but there's just, we're all different in how we determine whether or not a knife or anything should be customized. You know, but the fun thing about it is that if it's done exactly right to a knife that you already enjoy, the love that you have for that knife just is like maxed out. And I'm so happy that Flytanium did the custom cage for this. You know what? I got one more point to make before we hit the 20-minute mark. So I'm going to do what I usually do when I forget to bring something and walk all the way back to the back of my house to get the knife that I want to make the point about. I don't even know if you guys can still hear me, but I had to walk all the way back to another room to get another knife. But speaking of knives that are so close to perfect and that just need one or two more things, you know, there's always one or two more things you can add to a knife. I have no idea if Flytanium will ever see this, but I have to assume I am not the only person to want this. Hey, Flytanium, how's about some titanium scales for the Shaman? Some nice contoured titanium scales for the Shaman. Oh, I'll tell you what I'd really want. You know, I talk about a potential Excalibur. This Spyderco Shaman with titanium tumbled scales, but do a faux bolster. So up here, it's just smooth tumbled. And down here, we get some nice diamond pattern titanium. Let me see if I can get my camera to actually. So yeah, imagine this texture in titanium, about 75% the length of the handle. It's all titanium, and you do a faux bolster up here. And then this side smooth so you can get it in and out of your pocket. Oh my gosh, I'd pay a lot more than what Flytanium charges generally for their Flytanium scales. Now keep in mind, if they do decide to do some scales for the Shaman, they will be more expensive than standard the stuff that they put out for the PM2 and the Manix, because contoured titanium is an extra machining process. It's going to cost a little bit more money. But this is such a rambly episode. But I would just die if Flytanium decided to do that. I would be so pumped. But anyways, I hope this wasn't too preachy. I know we all like to customize knives and have custom things. And a lot of you think like me, and you're like, I don't want to change anything on that knife. A lot of times the reasons we don't want to change something on a really expensive knife is because we're not sure if we're going to keep it forever. And we don't want to ruin it for the next person. And, you know, we don't want to ruin the resale value. You know, you see a customized crazy vehicle on a car lot. Maybe the vehicle originally cost $50,000, but you know, basically, if you ever gone to trade in a vehicle that you put a bunch of custom parts on, the dealership doesn't pay you for all those custom parts. They don't care. They're looking at the original value of the vehicle. The same thing is true with knives. You are not going to get a whole bunch of extra money for the most part, unless you're looking at steel flame stuff for an XM18. You're not getting a whole bunch of extra money for all the customization you've done to the knife, because the next person really only cares about what the original maker did and the condition of your knife. But anyway, sorry, preachy, ranty episode. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I hope you at least found it entertaining. If you did, please leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, then please subscribe to my channel, because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.